I don't do cereal. That's a whole nother video. By
Is it?
Yeah.
Weetabix okay?
Oh, don't get me started on Weetabix. These processed food companies include ingredients that hit dopamine receptors in your brain that make it, oh, that was really nice. I can have one later. I used to deal with ascorbic acid at university, and it was just literally a white powder, and we'd have tons of it, and they would label it as vitamin C. I later found out it's not vitamin C at all. It's something called ascorbic acid, which is
Mo, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
How are we doing?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, very nice to be here.
Thanks for coming down.
That's okay.
I've got a feeling that this is actually going to be a really good and interesting podcast.
Hope so.
Maybe a little bit different from what we've had out there already. Like I said, to you earlier, the goal with this podcast is to kind of, inspire people, motivate them to kind of become their best version of themselves. And by doing that is to kind of get guests like yourselves on to kind of inform us, educate us, because there's a lot of information out there that we kind of get bombarded with. We don't know who to trust, and these are the things that I kind of struggle with myself personally. So again, thank you for coming on. So I've done a bit of research into yourself just to kind of see what you're about, and sort of and a word that kind of stuck out with me was biohacking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of sounds a bit of a crazy word when you're just kind of looking at the surface of it. But if you could just describe to us and just kind of elaborate on the word biohacking or what the concept of biohacking means.
Okay, so in the health space, there are always certain factors that affect our bodies, right? So whether it's environmental toxins, foods that we eat, diet, all of these other things. And biohacking it's a fancy term for just basically trying to understand how your body responds to things, and then finding not a shortcut, but almost a way around it to simplify or to make it easier for you. For example, I'll give you a quick example. So if somebody is going to have a high sugar meal,
Okay.
right? So they know they've got a dessert coming and they're going to go all out and they're having pizza and the rest of it, for example. There are little things which are biohacks that you can do before. For example, having a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar half an hour before you eat anything
Okay.
will lower the sugar spike. Okay? That's one thing. I created, as you know, my own natural supplements, and I recommend for people to take them in the morning or throughout the day. What these do, these are little capsules of biohacks. So basically, they go in your system, they help reduce things like sugar spikes, reduce cravings, reduce blood pressure rises, things like this. It helps you maintain a good balance. So biohacking is just finding a way where you can override some of the systems and in a healthy way, rather than taking sort of, I don't know, something else that's a bit more abrasive, I don't know, or some harsh medicine or something to do the same thing.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that's as simple as it is. It's just that.
I wish you told me this earlier, because I used to own a dessert shop, funnily enough.
Okay.
So I'm giving a lot of people these high sugar doses,
Okay.
and, and myself, and what I found myself was doing was, so I'd make like a milkshake for someone, for example. So believe it or not, I was very, very slim.
Okay.
Growing
I do
up.
believe it. Why not?
Yeah. And then, so I had a dessert shop, and what I found is like I'd make a milkshake for someone. And then there's always a little bit left.
Mm-hmm.
So there's me knocking them back. And then next thing you know, I'm just like, what's happened?
Yeah.
Because I never thought I'd put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting it down to all those milkshakes that I've been having. So that's interesting. So, okay, so biohacking is kind of little hacks that you can do to kind of prevent certain things from happening and stuff like that. Is that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, essentially, yeah. So foods and things that we ingest play a big role in that, because what your body's always trying to do is trying to maintain something called homeostasis, which is just balance.
Okay.
And when we eat certain foods, it derails our body's ability to repair and to fix itself and maintain that balance. So like I said to you, if you're going to have a high carb meal or high sugar meal or a high, I don't know, a drink full of different chemicals and things like this, it's going to impact your body. So biohacking, I mean, look, it's a hack way to try and do these things, but that doesn't mean go out and indulge and do all the desserts 2-3 times a day every day and then biohack your way out of it, because that's not going to work like that either. Because then your body's gonna feel the effects of the inflammation from those foods. So it's just a case of, if you are going out or if you're going to do something, it's maybe 2 or 3 times a week, these are good tricks and good tips to have to do, right? It just helps your body regain its balance without affecting it too much. So that's...
So, again, we spoke a little bit off camera. One of the things that I struggled with when I'm looking to kind of improve either my diet or, kind of get some sort of routine going on, is where do I get my information from? There's so much information out there, especially, we've all been there where we've been on TikTok and we've seen like certain videos that crop up and, there's debates going on. So what's your take on that? Like, where should we get our information from? And
it's difficult, because as you know, socials, and we've spoke about this as well, there's so much misinformation. There is a lot of good information as well, and I was kind of simply broke it down to you where if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't make common sense, probably a reason why it doesn't make sense. Okay. In terms of getting information, there are trusted sources and things like that, and the thing is, it's difficult, because even trusted sources have got things wrong in the past. So there was, I remember some government guidelines. They did this food pyramid thing, and it was carbs should be in there, and red meats and chicken proteins and all of these different things, right? And they've put vegetables in there. They've encouraged you to have carbs within there. It sits in the middle, right, of the pyramid, to have carbs. And it showed in there things like pasta and rice and all these other things, right? Now, people are going to apply that to their meals and to their diets every day. That's not a good advice. That's not good advice to give.
So those type of carbs are not...
So those type of carbs cause micro traumas in our guts, which is called inflammation. So what happens is, your inflammation is your body's response to any kind of trauma, whether you get hit, whether you fall over, whether you cut yourself, whatever, your body responds with inflammation. The problem is by having all these foods, again, it throws your body out of balance, and then you get something called chronic inflammation, which that inflammation stays in your body, doesn't get broken down, and causes the breakdown of the processes of your body's functions, what it's supposed to do, right? This is simply breaking it down, because your body doesn't have a chance to repair or to deal with the meal you've had or the food or the things that you've had. Do you see what I mean?
So certain foods can cause inflammation in the gut.
Yes.
Because when you say inflammation, because I remember I had a shoulder injury, and they said, you've got inflammation on your shoulder, you just got to give it time to kind of recover itself and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, cool. So you're saying certain foods can cause that same sort of thing in your gut?
Definitely. So what happens is, when you hurt your shoulder or you hurt your arm or something, your body responds, right? It sends antibodies, it sends things to calm the inflammation. There is inflammation, it does that to contain the injury, if you like. So that inflammation is good in a way. It's there to protect you. The problem is, like I said to you, so when you have these repetitive bad foods, if you like, and that affect your gut, your gut lining, right, is very sensitive. And these foods often contain chemicals and contain other things that damage the lining of your gut. When that damages, this has an impact on everything else. Then your liver, then your kidneys, then your lung function, then your blood pressure, and so on and so on. Because only recently I discovered in the past amount of years how 80% of your immunity is in your gut, right? And what you eat is a massive part of that. So if you're constantly exposing yourself to foods, processed foods in particular. So when I say to you carbs, not all carbs are bad, for example, right? If you're having rice once or twice a week, it's okay. If you're having... I'm
looking over there because we eat rice every day.
I eat rice every day. So I probably have only about 120. So I have. Sorry, am I allowed to interrupt? Sorry, Jensen.
Yeah.
Go on, we'll amend it. Don't worry.
So basically, I will have 250 grams of rice a day. So 125 grams.
Okay.
So I'll have that for lunch, and then I'll have the other half for dinner. So that's it. That's literally.
Okay. I've been kind of told a similar thing because a balanced diet, bit of protein, bit of carbs, which is I'll just choose rice because it's just easy, and veg for the fibers and stuff. And you're saying okay.
So I'll tell you on the note a couple of those things on the rice that you showed me. So for example, if you're somebody that works out twice a day, right, and you need some
Energy,
some fuel, some energy, right, having a bit of rice every day. A bit of rice every day is okay.
Okay.
Right?
Got ya.
The problem is when you're having that rice daily and you're not somebody who works out and you're not somebody who moves, this is where chronic inflammation sets in. Because having those foods every day does not give your body a chance to process, to digest, to heal, and to get rid of it. Okay? Because it's constant daily micro traumas. Do you see what I mean? And it'll make it difficult for you to lose weight. Your body will retain a lot of the weight. And that inflammation, which recently they found is kind of one of the root causes of most conditions. Most conditions, whether it's cancer, whether it's female issues, PCOS, fertility, all of these things, it affects absolutely everything. So the idea is to replace that with something a bit healthier. Right, so I have potatoes, which are fine. I have sweet potatoes. Those are my carb sources. Quinoa are my carb sources. I'll have rice. I tell you when I'll have rice. So I play football. I play competitive football. And I'll have a match on Saturday afternoon, right? Friday, I'll have a decent portion of rice. It's called carb loading in a way. So I'll get enough carbs for me to sustain my energy for that next day. And it tends to be rice mixed with quinoa, maybe a bit of potatoes, for example. But lots of vegetables and proteins and fats as well, good fats. But then again, like I said to you, I'm active and I'm somebody who works out a lot. Like your friend, I go to the gym, I do football. So for me, it's manageable to have if I wanted to have those foods. The majority of people don't live that active lifestyle, unfortunately. And you can't justify having those foods daily.
No, that makes sense.
You
that
see what I
definitely
mean?
makes sense. Yeah.
Because it only be a detriment to your health. And then you will wonder why you get headaches, why you can't shift the weight, why you're always tired, do you see what I mean?
I do see what you mean because I feel as if you're talking to me, like
Really?
yeah.
By the way, I've just met Abdul. I don't know his lifestyle or his background.
No,
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have it in London. So there's a place called Pepe's in Birmingham. Do you have that in London? I'm sure you do.
What is
London.
that chicken?
It's like a grilled chicken.
Yeah.
Place,
Similar.
yeah.
Sure.
And one of my favorite things to get from Pepe's is chicken and rice.
Okay.
Now, even though what you've said, I pretty much know. But to be fair, like the chicken and rice is meant to be like a healthy meal.
Sure.
So you take it as, even if you're not exercising or even if you're not as much as you should be, or if, like, let's just say this week you've kind of been slacking on the gym or boxing or whatever it is. So I'm talking from my experience. So sometimes I'll have like an off week because I'm so busy with work or whatever that I haven't had the chance to kind of go to that boxing class or whatever it is.
Sure.
Me sticking to like a chicken and rice for me kind of feels like a safe thing to do.
Okay.
But from what you've just said, it kind of makes me feel as if, okay, that's been the wrong approach. But it kind of makes sense because, one, after I do have a chicken and rice, I'm like bloated. I can't move. It does make me tired, actually, coming to think of it.
And I'll tell you why in a sec.
And that's just interesting.
Yeah, because what happens is you're having a relatively large meal, right, of rice and chicken. What happens is all of the blood rushes to your gut. Okay? As soon as that happens, probably within 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, your body tries to compensate. And then what it does, it cuts blood flow from your body, from the rest of your body, from your brain, and pushes it to your gut to process and digest this food. As a result, you start to feel tired and lightheaded, and you just sort of want to sit down. and relax a bit, you know. Maybe I'll have something else to do. Maybe a bit of dessert. Maybe I'll have a cup of tea or something like that.
That's me, man.
Right? That's your body dealing with the sugar spike from the food that you've had, right? From the carbs. And by the way, people think sugar spikes are like sweets and chocolates and desserts. They are, but then this also applies to rice, to pasta, to bread. All of those things have sugar. All of those carbohydrates get turned into sugar in your body. And then what happens is there's your body then responds with insulin.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And what happens is, as you're constantly exposing your body to these sugars, your insulin sensitivity, it becomes very difficult for your body to bring down that sugar. So what it does, rather than dealing with it, it tends to just to store it. It stores it because our bodies are made in survival mode.
Okay.
From back in the day, our bodies are made for survival. So the hunter-gatherers would go out, avoid things, you know, trying to catch prey, trying to catch food, something, right? And this is early man even, you know, like more than a couple of thousand years ago. And your body cuts off, you start to feel tired, and that becomes a spiral. Because then what happens is, an hour or two later, you'll want to reach for something else relatively sweet. Because your body's the insulin's dealt with it then, right?
Okay.
And then another hour or two later, you might feel like, actually, I can have something else. I'm peckish. I'll have something else. That's your body dealing with the sugar, bringing it down, working hard with your insulin to bring it down. And then what you've just done again, you've just gone and eaten something else again and disrupt that process all over again. This causes a catalogue of issues.
A lot of the things that you have been saying, I can definitely relate. Like, if I'm being totally honest, guys, yeah. So one of the things that I said to myself, I'm going to focus on is my health. But I think it's nice when you hear it from someone, it kind of reinforces the things that you may already know. And I know a lot of the audience are maybe in the same sort of way. Because I know, like, when you're not exercising, you're also in a low mood.
100%.
You know, like when you're exercising, you're in a better mood. You're willing to kind of do more things. You're more active. Whereas if you're the opposite and you're eating heavy foods, like you said, which kind of puts you in a it's known to be like a food coma, where you kind of just overindulged.
Yeah.
Even though I thought you kind of eating a healthy food, chicken and rice. Chicken and rice is like famously known to be that it's kind of...
Okay, but then you have to ask yourself, where's the vegetables?
I don't mind vegetables, to be
Where's
fair.
the fiber? Because all you're having there, you're having a carb and you're having a protein. There's no fiber. And your body relies on fiber.
To kind of help digest.
To digest, to process. If you talk about, for example, red meat, people that eat red meat will have a steak, right? Red meat has no fiber, zero. So if they'll have a steak, they'll be constipated for the next 3 days.
Okay, I get
and that explains what that happens. You see what I mean? Then you have to drink a lot of water to break it down, for example, to get your body to try and, process everything. So what you eat makes a big difference to everything. Absolutely everything. Your mood, your health, your energy, your immunity, your ability to function during the day, your productivity. It's
I think, one thing that caught me off guard was, I don't know if this is like a universal thing, but for me, for example, when I was younger, I could eat anything and everything and it wouldn't affect me as much as it does now. So when I was young, so like I said, I've always been quite slim. I've always been quite fit as I've been growing up. So gym has always been a part of my life. So, I've always used to train. So, I'll be in like a very good shape at one point, then I'll kind of be off. But growing up, I never really focused on my diet as much as I do now.
Sure.
Because when I was younger, I could eat my burger meals, but then I'd go to the gym and I would be fine. I'd come home, I'd be energetic.
Sure.
Whereas now, if I eat a burger meal, I'm sitting down for a bit because I'm just like, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
I won't want to do anything, and it'll just put me in a really bad mood.
Sure, 100%.
Especially if that's on a constant basis where I'm eating.
Well, one of the reasons for that is when you're younger, imagine you've got fresh system, right? Your body's learning, taking in foods, learning how it responds to this and that. You can sort of get away with it because your body's learning and it's processing. What happens is if you constantly repeat that same process, right, and there's never a break in it, or there's never a fix in it, what happens is your body knows now. It's like, oh, it's another carb meal coming. There's another burger and chips. Can't be bothered to deal with this almost. It'll deal with a bit of it, store the rest away. It becomes lazy, it becomes tired, right? And like you said, you used to go to the gym, you used to work out. So you used to counteract it a little bit because your body was still relatively youthful and it can learn and it can adapt and do all of those things. Problem is that as we go over time, if you keep maintaining those meals and exercise less, for example, it's going to catch up with you. I know people who are very slim, they've crossed 30 or 35, their bodies just started putting on weight, and these people were slim people. They weren't healthy. They thought of themselves as healthy, but they weren't actually healthy on the inside. Being thin or being overweight, for example, is not an indicator too much. You have to really dig down deep into somebody's body and abilities and psyche to understand why they respond to things in a certain way. So if there's no let up, if you're constantly exposing yourself to those foods, even if you're younger. And by the way, I tell you how I overcome this, right? I work backwards.
Okay.
So I imagine myself at 70 or 80, right? If I didn't change the foods and the lifestyle that I have, what am I going to look like when I'm 80? I'm not going to be able to move. My family will be, God forbid, wheeling me around in a wheelchair. And that scares the hell out of me, man. And then that's when I thought, no, this was years ago. I thought I need to change something, years and years ago. And I thought, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to look back and have this as a regret. There might be other regrets and other things, but this is not going to be one of them. My health, you have one thing. You have one thing, and it's your health. Honestly, if you lose that, you can't go to work, can't look after your kids, can't go to the gym, can't sit up properly. What can you do? You can't do anything. So somebody who doesn't have health wishes for one thing, and that's their health back. Do you see what I mean? So this is how I work backwards, and this is what I have in my head constantly, and this is what I try to pass on to people through socials, to Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, to say, by the way, you have an opportunity here. Your body is here for you. It wants to help you. I mean, look, you don't have to, when you get a cut, what do? You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to put a plaster on.
Your body
will deal with it. Sends antibodies, sends coagulants, closes up the blood clot for you, yeah? And then starts to repair. Within a few days, it's gone. But all you have to do, the only thing you have to do is just feed it. And if you can feed it good things, good foods, guess what? It's going to work for you. It's going to look after you. Any conditions, anything you're going to get, your body's going to be quick to deal with it because it knows how to respond. Your immune system is working properly, as opposed to a dulled down immune system from processed foods and from bad things that we do to ourselves regularly, you know. I'm not perfect. I have my cheat days. I'm okay, and I tell my people on my Instagram all the time, my Friday or my Saturday, I'll have something. I always regret it because if I have pizza, I'm going to get bloated afterwards. I'm going to feel uncomfortable and I'm going to be tired the next day. So those foods don't excite me anymore. Honestly, it doesn't, a burger and chips, it just doesn't excite me anymore. Yeah, when I was growing up, you do those things, you go out with your friends, normal, you know, it's a normal growing up part of growing up. But then you have to think there's something better for me. Like for me, for example, like I said to you, I play football and I go gym. And for me, that's important, like really important. So I don't miss a football match. I don't miss a gym session unless I'm completely swamped or something needs it. I make time for it because it's important.
It's like a high priority for you.
Very high priority. And because I know if I don't look after myself in that way, I can't look after my family properly. Because if I'm not dealing with myself, if I'm not dealing with my mental health, if I'm not having that time out, it's going to affect my family. My family don't want me to come home tired, complaining about work. I've had this, I've had that, I'm in a bad mood. No, they want their dad home, happy, how are you, let's play, jump around, play in the garden, play football, whatever it is. They want that. So I have to give them that. Do you see what I mean? And me, to maintain that, I need to have my time out. I'll go to the gym every day after work. I'll play football 2-3 times a week. That's more than my hobby. Do you see what I mean? So you prioritize those things, and they come with so many benefits.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just going to work out. Oh my God, the amount of processes that go on in your body, your growth hormone factors, your ability to repair, your testosterone levels, your hair growth, your skin, your nails. Brother, it affects absolutely everything. And I'm always trying to relay that to people to understand. They may hear things and they may know things like you said. Oh, well, I know, for example, these meals are bad for me and whatever. But do you really know how bad they are for you? Do you know what they're doing inside, right? So you mentioned low mood and low energy as one of them. That's your body's way of telling you, by the way, this meal you just had,
it's not that good for you.
Don't do it. Look at me now. You know, you're in a food coma, like you mentioned before. There are no positives from a food coma. What's the positives?
I'm just thinking. So for example, my body is telling me that food's not good for you.
Yeah.
You're in a food coma. You can't walk. You're sitting down on the couch. You have no energy. Yet, why do I or my body feel like I need it again? Or even though everything's telling me don't have that, yet my body chooses, or well, I choose to go down to whatever.
I'll tell you why. Simply, it's kind of not your fault. So these processed food companies include ingredients that hit dopamine receptors in your brain that make it, oh, that was really nice. I can have one later. I'm going to have another burger.
Okay.
It's something called MSG, monosodium, I can't remember what it's not, monosodium glutamate it's called. This is just one example. There are thousands of others. Okay.
And this is what's in my food that makes me want it again.
This is what's in your food, and it hits dopamine receptors. And by the way, these foods, so all of these foods that come in packets, they're manufactured, right?
Okay.
These are processed. So anything that comes in a box is processed. An apple is from a tree, right? It hasn't undergone a factory. They haven't, made it that way in a factory. No, it comes in its normal fibers, and it comes with water retention, sugars, everything that comes with it.
They haven't messed around with it.
They haven't messed around with it, unless it's genetically modified, right? So that's a different topic. But those foods will hit those receptors in your brain, in your body, and your body becomes accustomed to those. And it's going to crave that hit every time.
God, yeah.
Without even you thinking about it. You're going to think, next time you're hungry, I'm going to have another chicken and chips today. I'm going to have rice and chicken. It's just standard, isn't it? You're used to it. It makes you feel good for the time you're eating it, right?
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
And then later on, your body's going to struggle with dealing with it, okay? You're going to feel tired, you're going to feel low energy, it might affect you the next day. For me, it always affects me the next day. Whatever carbs I have that day and the next day, I'm out. And I know I'm out, right? Unless, like I said to you, those are on the cheat days, for example, if I have whatever. So it's important to know what you're putting in your mouth and in your system, because you wouldn't put junk in your car.
Wow.
You wouldn't put something that's useless in your car to drive. No, because you want to get from A to B. So your body's your vessel, A to B to Z. Look after it.
It's crazy, because I know it's not just me that's in a situation where, you eat things out of convenience as well.
100%.
Finding a healthy alternative is either hard to find or it's very expensive. So, you could just go down the road now and you can get like a chicken and chips for X amount.
Sure.
It's convenient, it's easy. So I'm assuming these are the sort of lifestyle habits that obviously have to change, along with understanding what you're putting in your body. And you're right, because I think when you know what you're putting in your body and how it's affecting your body, you'll kind of think twice about what you're putting in your body. Because even just listening to you now, I'm just thinking about my lifestyle choices and my habits that I'm doing, where you kind of know, but you don't really put that importance on it. Yeah.
And this is a constant question that comes up when I'm answering DMs and things. People know surface level, right? So if I'm gonna have loads of dessert, I'm gonna have loads of this. Yeah, I know it's not good for me, but you know what? It's all right. I don't do it every day. I do it every other day, for example. Do you see what I mean? And a lot of it, it's not even actually the calories that's involved. It's the damage that body is doing to your system, right? Do you see what I mean? Calories is even a side topic. For me, calories is not important. I don't count calories. I don't think I eat when I'm hungry, and I maintain myself so that I don't overeat. And if I'm out and about, and like you said, you know, when it comes to conveniences and things, they are a struggle. I agree with you 100%. And all these companies and all these businesses, they don't make it easy.
Yeah, you're
there's
right.
literally McDonald's every corner. There's this food, there's that food. I just walked past Five Guys on the way here. And I thought, you know, it's there in your face. And people crave warm meals or hot meals, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Because so that's another factor on how they feel. But you can still work around it if you prioritize it, right? And if you understand what these foods are doing to you. So when I share my information on my stories, I share facts for people. You eat this is what it's going to do. Now it's up to you. You have that information, you deal with it how you want. But don't say I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, in this day and age, anyone that says I don't know or is burying their head in the sand, guess what? Who is it affecting? It's not affecting me. It's affecting you. It's going to affect you and your family and your people around you. Do you see what I mean? And people may not think it's important to that extent. It's all right. You only live once.
Yeah. You hear that a lot now, yeah.
Why not live once up here? Why not live once with being able to have a high quality of life? Being able to move, being able to run up the stairs, being able to, I got this, I'll deal with it. Whatever it is, imagine that. As opposed to, no, I can't be bothered. No, I don't want to do it. No, I'm too tired. I can't be. Do you see what I mean? There are always going to be factors that affect you in that way. So why not empower yourself to get the best out of yourself?
I'm just thinking, like, you know, you can't argue with anything you said. Because, like you said, if you're bringing facts to the table, you can't argue with facts. Yeah. And if you know, I know there's going to be people that are watching this podcast thinking, okay, identifying certain things in their life or certain foods that they're eating that may be affecting them. But then tomorrow they'll go doing the same thing. They'll still go. And so I'm just trying to think, what is it, you know, like, is it just the fact that we have to have strong willpower to kind of get up and stop these habits, and or are there techniques that we can do, or is it something that you have to take step by step? Because me personally, and I know this may be a downfall, and it's been a plus in some other aspects of life where I'm an all or nothing type person. So, for example, you know, if someone was to quit smoking, like if I was to quit smoking, it'd be done on that one night. Boom, from this night forward, I'm not going to smoke. And I'm the same with dieting. So for the people that do know me, Mondays are a very famous day for me because my diet always starts on a Monday. And then probably by Wednesday, I'm back on, you know, back to my old habits of eating, you know. And I think I'm doing better because I won't go back to eating just like burgers and whatever. I'll eat a chicken rice, for example. I'll still be a bit more mindful, but I'm like, okay, from Monday is when I'm just going to have, I don't know, a salad with a bit of chicken that's been made, or, you know, but to kind of sustain that, it's...
there definitely needs to be a mental shift somewhere along the line, right? So you're all or nothing. I'm kind of similar to you in a way. People start, you know, they talk about New Year's resolutions. For me, that doesn't exist. If I want to stop something tomorrow, I'll stop it tomorrow and that's it, it's done.
Okay.
I won't look back. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I decided to cut down on sweets a long time ago. Cut it out. On the weekends, like I said to you, on a cheat day, I'll have something. Because the reason why I have something is not necessarily because I want it and I crave it, but in the sense that it's okay. I've behaved for 6 days. I can have something if I want to, right? It's getting into that mindset. And one thing I said to you earlier, working backwards, I feel like that works with people. I feel like if you tell them what the implications of what they're doing now, the actions they're taking, the routines, how they'll affect them in the future, some people get scared. They say, well, like, I don't want to end up like that. For example, I don't want to end up like my grandma or my mum or my dad or whatever. Do you see what I mean? I grew up seeing my dad smoke. And he smoked shisha and things like this and pipe all the time. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to touch this. This doesn't serve any good purpose for me. Do you see what I mean? That doesn't mean I won't have it. So once in a while, I'll go out with my friends. We'll have something. Social thing, yeah. So it's fine. It's okay. That doesn't make me a smoker.
Yeah.
It just makes me doing a social thing with my friends. Okay, I'll have it. I'll cough a few times and I won't touch it again. Do you see what I mean? But it's okay. It's that balance and that homeostasis that I was telling you about. Other barriers, like I said to you, is obviously you're surrounded by temptations. That's the problem. Yeah. People are surrounded by temptations, and literally, as I was walking that, and I look at food differently to most people. Right. I look at food is, what's in this? What is it going to do when it goes in my body? That's how I look at it. Should I have it? Yes or no? Is it going to benefit me? Okay. If it's not, even if I'm hungry, I'll leave it. Because I think this is going to do more harm than good, and it's going to make me hungry again in the next hour, and then I'm going to crave something else, and it's going to start that catalogue and that spiral, which I don't want. Okay? So people need to think about, firstly, like we mentioned as well, so steps, yes, baby steps is important. If you're not a cold turkey type of person, you can take steps. That's okay. See what works for you. The point is you see it as a lifestyle change. You don't see it as a diet change, right? See it as a lifestyle. Say,
that's important, I think.
I want the best out of my life. I want the best out of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want the best for your kids or your family members and your friends, right? So why would you not want that for yourself? Often we're good at helping others, telling them what to do. Don't eat this, not good for you, bro. Don't have this or whatever, you know? But we won't take that our own advice. So in that sense, maybe sometimes you need to attach yourself to somebody so you can support each other along the way. Because I know it's difficult, and I know there are temptations, and I know it's easy to fall back into things. And for me, one of the biggest words that helped me through everything in life, right? It's not passion, it's not motivation, it's not I'm gonna do this, whatever. It's self-discipline. My thing is self-discipline.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I discipline myself towards everything, towards my work, towards spending time with my family, towards playing football, towards going gym, toward what I'm eating. It's all discipline, right? And when I break that discipline, it's under my say-so. It's under my control.
So you haven't given into temptation is because you've allowed yourself to have this treat.
I've allowed myself. See, that is a complete mental shift change.
It's a whole different approach, isn't it?
Because doing it that way, you have control of yourself. You're okay. I'm going to have this. I know it's 1,000 calories, dessert, whatever it's cheesecake. It's cool. I'm going to deal with it.
But I'm choosing to have it.
I'm choosing to have it, right? Rather than think, oh yeah, and then have it, and then you see something else as you're walking out, and then it's like, that baklava looks nice, you know? It's like, we've been there. I've been there. But now, I've shut off myself to the things I don't want. The things that don't benefit me. Honestly, they don't, like I walk past shops and there's all these pastries of, there's croissants and cheese this and pizza base this and all this.
And that doesn't faze you at all?
At all. And I just think, man, that is going to blow the hell out of me. And that's going to cause me problems. I'm not touching that.
But has there been a time in your life? Okay, so I want to learn a little bit more about you and your journey into why you got into, and then we can go into sort of what you're doing now in regards to your business and what influenced that. So if we take it right back, where did this whole health, becoming sort of fascinated with health and stuff kind of come from? Was it a natural thing for you? Was there an event that happened where you thought, because I know you mentioned a little bit earlier where you thought back, because not everyone has these thoughts. And sometimes it may be a trigger in life that makes you think, like we've got someone in the office who I'll quickly just like to bring up his story where, do you want to tell this story? Yeah, from I'll just keep it brief, but there was a close friend where because the guy that's in the office is Rick, who's been on the podcast before. He was very like overweight, and his lifestyle choices weren't probably be the best. Drinking, eating, which probably a lot of us kind of do without even thinking how it's affecting us.
Sure.
And then his close friend kind of there was some sadly passed away due to his health.
Oh, dear.
And that's when it was a trigger point for him, where he's thinking, I don't want my family to be sitting on the floor sobbing away at my death, because of the lifestyle choices I've made. So for him, that was a very strong trigger point for him. And he's smashing it now. The guy's in the best shape of his life. He's looking the best he's ever looked. And it's crazy to think that something, and sometimes these events kind of make us and break us, and fortunately for him, it kind of made him realize I need to. So has there been something like that in your life?
So going back, I was somebody who's in sciences. I grew up in sciences, so I did science GCSEs, A levels, university. I studied chemistry and pharmacology, all of these things, right?
So this was like a genuine natural passion.
Yeah, so it wasn't nutrition based or anything like that, but it was how certain chemicals and things affect our bodies and how they respond to them. Right? How bodies respond. So I graduated from university. I worked, my first job, just to give an idea, was making medicines, intravenous medicines for cancer patients, right?
Oh, wow.
So it's basically, we used to make up these bags specialized for each person, right? Each cancer patient, because they can't be fed, they can't eat food. So they have to be fed through a tube, right? It's literally like a drip. But this is made up specifically with the nutrients that they need to keep them alive, okay? Wow. And I remember making that. And I used to think, this doesn't sit right with me. This doesn't sit right with me. Why is this person having to be fed through a tube, right? And surely there's something that could have been done along the way. Surely there could have been some preventative measures. Surely there's a way to get them to eat, without vomiting or throwing up. There are things that are possible. And it made me think, as I used to make these bags, we used to go, it's called the clean room environment. You'd have to scrub in, wear masks, everything, only your eyes are showing, right? Everything's gloved up and all of that, because obviously there's no room for contamination, because if this goes in their bloodstream, it can cause them infections and disease and, worse. So whilst doing that, I remember thinking, oh man, this is not good. This is not the path I want to take. I don't believe in this type of life's, this type of medication, not in this type of medication, but also in the sense that there are alternatives. There must be something, right? And my dad, for example, my family, we used to have generally cultural food, like like everyone else, rice and breads and with everything. The bread was like such a staple, man. It was morning, evening, lunch, everything, And I started to put on weight. I never knew back then. I was very active and everything, like you said. You used to go gym and so on. I used to do the same, and it never really hit me until I started to get a bit older and I started to understand more. I used to start questioning more, right? And I tell you when I started to question. There was 2 occasions. First one, I used to have acne when I was 16.
Oh, you can't tell, to be fair.
It was bad acne, yeah. And I went to the doctor, and people will sympathize with this, and they gave me something called Roaccutane. Okay, which is like a drug that they give you, a medication, and what it does is supposed to reduce the blood flow to your face and to your extremities, to reduce cut off the blood supply almost to the spots and the acne and things like that. Okay, what that did for me is it made my face white, gaunt, almost
just
pale, man, and any cut or graze I would get, I would not stop bleeding. I would not stop bleeding. I'll be there half an hour later trying to stop the bleeding. And I used to think, what is this? This can't be the way to deal with this, I started to get migraines, because often these medications come with side effects. And they give you, I went to the doctor again. He gave me another tablet for my migraines that the Roaccutane was causing. And then I said to him, look, I'm starting to feel nauseous. He gave me something else, anti-nausea. And all of these catalogue of things all have their own side effects, because they're all artificial medicines. They're all created in a lab somewhere in a factory, processed and sent out, right? So it was hacking your system in a not a good way. We talked about the biohacking earlier, in a really bad way for me. And some people may respond to it. That's fine. I guess that's what it's there for. But for me, I thought, this is not good. I can't do this. So what I started doing, I just started reading books, researching. What is it? What is it causing? What's causing this?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time is food. And I started reading how dairy kind of cause things like, so milk and cheese can cause skin conditions. So things like psoriasis, eczema, acne, spots, all of these things directly linked to that, because there's certain factors and cofactors in the milk that can cause these skin conditions. Yeah. I've spoken about this on my Instagram as well, and it divided a lot of people, because a lot of people love milk.
I like milk.
Yeah, you like milk as well. But if I tell you what's in milk, I might put you off it for life.
No, but I'd rather know. Like, I think I've got to a stage where I think I'd rather know. Like, I think, like you said, discipline is one of those things that you need to hold on to. And
so, and there's alternative things.
Yeah.
There's always alternatives for everything, right? So I gave you the rice example before. I have quinoa. I know it's not as convenient, it's not around in shops. But I started making my own food at home, and I'll carry a Tupperware, something I need for lunch, for example. Because at least I know I'm getting something good for me. So going back to that point, I researched and I understood how there's certain things affecting me. So I started cutting those out. I started reducing my bread. I stopped milk. And I stopped the medication. I just stopped it all. I thought, I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh yeah, you just got to a point where you just got
16. I was 16. And after I think it was about 2 weeks in, the course was like 3 months. After 2 weeks in, I'm thinking, this is what is this? I'm not myself, right? I can't run. I'm not active. My skin's looking worse than it did before. So I stopped the medication and I started to cut. I'm not saying you stop the medication, by the way. You have to see it for yourself, what works for you and your doctor and physician, by the way. But for me, that was the step I took. I reduced those other foods, and guess what? Within, I would say, about 3 months, my acne had disappeared. And I'm someone who I tried I don't know if you have this cultural thing, Dettol. My dad used to make me put Dettol on the thing, and it used to burn like hell, and that would cause me more problems. And I'd be like, oh, Dad, this is not the way. Surely, I know I'm killing my face here, not just the spots. Anyway, so I just started eliminating all these things from my diet, and it started to go away. And then from then, I thought, you know what? I can do something here. Like, there are hacks I can do. At the same time, I also have fizzy drinks. I used to have fizzy drinks, like almost every day, I would say. I'd have at least a Pepsi or something, or a Coke, something.
I think
like
which
that.
is a lot of people as well.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, yeah.
It's a lot of people. And I'll tell you what we do. Me and my dad used to go, for example, my family used to go on these long walks. We'll go for a walk, and at the end of it, we'll stop by a fast food place. We'll have a Coke or something. We'll have a Snickers bar afterwards. And what this was, which I didn't realize at the time, it was a full-on blown assault on my body, on my gut. It was a full-blown assault, because my body's thinking, what can I fight? Am I fighting the sugar, the chemicals, the carbs that you're thinking, the chemicals in here, the no fiber? How am I supposed to deal with this?
How shall I react?
My body used to give up. And like you said, that food coma, I used to get knocked out afterwards by having all this, right? And then I started to put on weight and realize. But I started to realize what it was. And there was one point which completely put me off fizzy drinks, right?
Okay, go on. I'm ready to hear this.
And everyone's different. So it was a Friday. We were on one of those walks, and we had a Pepsi, and then I felt a pain in my tooth. And I told my dad, and I was like, this was 17 or something. And I said, oh, I got a tooth. He said, okay, just don't have the rest of the drink. I said, okay, fine. And then this toothache started to get worse and worse and worse. I called up the dentist. He said, we can't see you till Monday, right? I tell you what, those 3 nights, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, were literally probably the worst nights of my life. I didn't sleep. The pain, I don't know if you've ever had tooth pain.
I have. It's like you said, it's the worst.
It's debilitating, bro.
Yeah.
I was in my bed in the fetal position, making humming noises, just to get through it. It was the worst thing I had ever done, right? And I swore to myself, I am not touching one of these ever again. Right?
Then look at I think, a pain in the teeth, mate, it's
the worst.
It's rated like one of the worst pains that you can have.
It's mentioned in ancient scripture how it's one of the worst things, right? Because it's directly linked to your central nervous system, and it's directly linked to a lot. And it's even linked to your gut, because obviously what you're eating, what you're ingesting here goes through, right? And there's certain bacteria in your mouth that detect the food and so on and so on. So for me, that was like, oh my God, I'm not going through this again. And I went to see a dentist on Monday, and he was like, well, I'm going to have to take this out. He said, your infection is so bad, it's hit the root and it's gone deep down into your gum and into your jaw. It was the worst thing. I said, do whatever it is. I don't care. Do whatever it is. He numbed me, gave me an injection. I sat there for an hour, right? Doing everything. He cleaned it up for me. And then I thought, thank you. And I said, that's it. I was about 17. And then, so I started to monitor from then what I eat and what I do. Okay. And then over the years, I started to play. Like I said to you, I signed for a football club, semi-professional. So I started to play, and I started to be wary of what I'm doing, because I want to show the best of me when I play.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I want to be a good fitness, good health, good recovery, good everything. So I started to make sure I eat and do the right things. And it continued from that. And then people started to see my levels of fitness and other things. And they used to ask me, what is it? What do you do? I said, listen, I'm like you. We're the same. If anything, you're probably fitter than me. But because of your diet and the things that you do, it's affecting you. If you got your diet in order, you would be fitter and stronger and faster than me. Right, just based on your abilities and your body composition.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like I'm cheating you or anything. I just did it differently. Okay, and then that started to spread. And then people used to ask me, "All right, so how do you do this, or what do you do this?" Just like that, just simple things. And I'll say to them, "Do you eat any vegetables? Do you eat any fruit?" And they're like, "No, man, why would I eat?" I used to say, there you go. Start including some vegetables. Start including some fiber, some things. These things are good for your body. And they're not just good for your body. They're essential. They have these vitamins and minerals that you can't get anywhere else. Right?
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people look at it wrong. Like you said, it's not just good for you. It's essential, like for you to perform, for your body to kind of work properly. It's not like an extra bonus.
No, it's for you to function properly. And because look, God gave us these bodies, right? These are vessels, right? And who knows where we'll go after. But whilst you're here, you have a duty to yourself to look after it. You have a duty to yourself, because if you let yourself down, you're letting yourself down. And then the other family members will see this. Like in the case of your friend, it needed some trauma for him to change that. For me, I tell the people, don't wait for that trauma. Don't wait for that trauma, because it's not going to be nice, and you're not going to want it. God forbid, you may get some condition or something, and then you'll kick yourself just because, well, I decided to have those foods or to have that all the time, for example. It's such a simple thing if you think about it.
No, you're right, man. You're right.
Honestly, it's so simple. It's like, well, I won't have that cheesecake. I'll have, I'll have a few dates instead. I still get the sugar hit, but it's a natural, much better solution.
This is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've established that how important what you put in your body and how it can affect it. You currently run a supplement company.
Yes.
So I want to talk about, instead of, like you said, instead of that cheesecake, I can have a date. Instead of this, what are some of the habits, foods that we should avoid, and some of the habits and foods that we should kind of undertake in order to improve our lives? Some practical advice for...
Okay. I'll give you a quick, easy example. Most people have breakfast in the morning, tend to have a sugary type of breakfast, right?
Let me just give you an example.
Go on.
Funny that you said this, because... And I know this is bad, but one of my... So when I'm on my diet, when, starting Monday, this is what happens. I'll wake up and I'll have my Weetabix or something high fiber.
Yeah.
With milk, which is quite interesting what you said, that it may not be that good. So we'll go into that as well. Sure. So I'll have milk, Weetabix, and then throughout the day I'll have my healthy meals. But generally speaking, what I normally have for my breakfast, and it kind of feels wrong for me to even say this, it's not that bad, but I'll have like a cup of tea with chocolate. Like that's my...
You'd have a whole chocolate bar?
A whole chocolate bar, yeah.
Okay.
With chocolate, with a cup of tea.
Okay.
And not just for breakfast, I'll probably have that later on in the evening as well, because I've had my food or whatever, and I love tea. Like tea is one of those things that I enjoy. Fine. I don't know if it's because it's like I find it quite relaxing. It's quite hot.
It's nice.
Drink,
I love
whatever.
a cup of tea. I start off my day the same.
I'll have it with something very sweet, like some biscuits. And another thing with biscuits, and I know a lot of people have the same problem, is you start off with one and that's it, the whole packet's going. Like I won't go to the whole packet, but I'll have more than I should definitely have had. But yeah, like you said, you'll start off with a sugary breakfast, and that's literally
the problem is if you start off with a sugary breakfast like that, then you're setting the tone for the day. Right?
You're definitely right,
Because what happens is your body wakes up with a fasted blood glucose level from overnight. You've been asleep. You haven't eaten or drunk anything.
Okay, so you've been asleep for 8 hours.
You've been asleep for 8 hours. Your body's at rest, right? Your body, when you wake up, 7, 8, 9, whenever it is, 7 to 11 is a crucial time. In your day, right? So crucial. That's when your body's detoxing and flushing out from all the things that it done overnight, all the repairs, all of these things. It flushes it all out and it's detoxing at that point, right? Overnight it's repairing and everything.
And now it's throwing all the stuff out.
And now it's throwing it all out. So hence the toilet, hence the things in the morning when you go and stuff like that, okay? The reason, I don't know if I can link into Immunity Box, my supplements. So when I tell people to take them at this time, the reason why is because when you take them at this time, it catapults that detoxification process, right? So it goes from 1x to maybe 5, 6, 10x depending on the person. What happens is now, instead of flushing out this much, your body's flushing out the rest of the bad toxins.
So what's this then? So you've got you said Immunity Box.
Yeah.
And those are supplements that kind of help with these things. Is that what you're saying?
They help with these things. And you talked about biohacking before. So these are your capsules that help your body work such an optimum. Detoxification, for example, weight loss. We talked about insulin resistance before and how your body responds to sugar, right? It makes all of your body work so much better than without it, right?
So it's like enhancement, like it just...
Complete enhancement. So basically these are vitamins and minerals. These are multivitamins, but real, right? So when you go to any store, supermarket, and you buy a multivitamin pack, right? What is it? It's a capsule or it's a tablet, white tablet usually, and it's just powder.
That's literally what I've got. So I used to go, so when I did train properly, along with that I had to take some supplements, vitamin D, vitamin C, and multivitamin. Like you said, it's literally what you said, some tablets. So is that like fake?
So exactly. You said it yourself, it's fake. So I'll tell you what this is. So these are artificial copies of the real thing. So it's not actually vitamin C. It's something called ascorbic acid, right? Which is the copy of vitamin C. I used to deal with ascorbic acid at university, and it was just literally a white powder, and we'd have tons of it, and they would label it as vitamin C. I later found out it's not vitamin C at all. It's something called ascorbic acid, which is what they do is they copy the molecular structure of whatever that is, that food or that ingredient, okay? Because then it can be produced en masse under controlled conditions, pressed into powders, tiny little powders, boosted up with things like fillers and caking agents and preservatives, and keep it looking white, and keep it on the shelf so it doesn't break down, and it will sit on there for 2 or 3 years. It's honestly, it's artificial rubbish, and your body doesn't know what to do with it. Your body doesn't recognize it. It's just a bunch of chemicals. It's like, what is this? Honestly, 80 or 90% of it, depending on the supplement, it just gets flushed out. It just becomes expensive.
I've heard this because, you know, some people say, oh yeah, I need more vitamin D, so they'll just take extra. And I heard like most of it just gets flushed out anyway, because your body can only accept a certain amount from these tablets anyway.
So when you ingest food or ingest anything, your body begins to work as soon as before you've even put the food in your mouth. As soon as you've seen it, as soon as you've smelt it, your enzymes start kicking in. Yeah. Your body knows what's coming. It recognizes that the food you're eating is going to have this impact, so it's going to prepare for it. Okay? And people eat those things and whatever, and a lot of it won't get absorbed because your body doesn't understand it. When you're having there was a time me and my friend used to go to a McDonald's drive-thru, right? And I can't believe I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
We used to go to a McDonald's, we'll grab a muffin in the morning. This was years ago. And it's just a muffin, just a harmless muffin.
Yeah.
So then we'll go to Costa, grab a tea or coffee or something there, right?
Again, which is probably a lot of people.
A lot of people. Now you recognize this next time. Well, next time you have a muffin, see what happens to you after an hour. Just monitor yourself. Because what happens is most people don't monitor themselves. They don't realize what's going on, right? They say, oh, I'm hungry. I didn't, maybe that coffee didn't do much. That muffin didn't do much. I tell you what it done. It done a hell of a lot, right? It assaulted your system. It assaulted it. Because not only is the bread full of MSG and full of these other chemicals and dopamine hits, not only is the cheese that comes in it fake, completely artificial cheese, it shouldn't even be called cheese. I don't even know how that's legal, if I'm honest. It's plastic.
Plastic, yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
It's plastic, right? Cheese, when you get, if you put heat to it, it melts.
Melts, yeah, I've seen it. It just burns, that one does, yeah.
That's literally what it is. It's just processed gunk that full of flavorings that make it look and taste like the real thing, right? And the egg, man, I swear that's not even a real egg. Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't know what that is. I'm still working that one out. But an hour later, I'm not only hungry, I'm like desperate for food. I'm like, I'm not normally this hungry. I'm so hungry.
You're right, man.
It's like, I was hungrier than when I had the muffin before, right?
If you think about it, you shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be.
Because you've
you've eaten something, you've had a coffee, that will satiate you a little, but you've got your caffeine mix, whatever it is, dose and all of that. And then you shouldn't be getting hungry an hour later. For me, I know what it does. So that assaults my sugar, right? My insulin, what happens is it overcompensates. Because it's taken such trauma from that muffin, it overcompensates, it produces a lot more insulin, brings the sugar right down, and that's why I get hungrier again.
Okay, because your body says, I need that again.
Your body is now, because the insulin response is not proportionate.
Okay.
Because this muffin has assaulted your system. It's not much, it's not big, but what's in it has completely jeopardized your immune system and your body. So now your insulin overcompensates, it brings your sugar right down, and you're like so hungry. Like I could have a full-blown meal right now.
I've experienced that, because I've always said to people, especially in Ramadan. Yeah. So in Sahri, generally I don't really eat much, and when I don't really eat much, or sometimes not in at all, like I'll just have like a glass of water, I'm fine during the day.
Yes.
Whereas if I eat something, and like if it's like, I wouldn't say heavy, but if I have like quite a bit, I find myself quite hungry during the day.
Yes.
And I've always found that quite interesting.
100%. I'll tell you why that is. And most people will shock most people. I don't do Sahri. I don't wake up for Sahri. Sometimes I wake up for namaz and for salat.
Yeah.
But
you won't eat or anything like that.
I won't eat anything, right? I'll drink water and that's it. What happens is, right, so you're waking up is one thing, right? So that's fine. But in your body terms, you're disrupting your sleep, okay? And then what happens is, if you're eating something at that time, your body's not used to eating at that time. It doesn't know what's going on here. It doesn't know you're fasting. the next day. It doesn't know that till later. All it knows is, what is this? Why am I having to eat? I'm not even hungry sometimes, but I'm having to eat. Now, that throws your body out of whack. And you have something called your circadian rhythm, which is when you sleep, you have rhythms in your body during the day and during sleep, and your body prepares you for that nighttime sleep and so on. So you're disrupting that process now. And then if you're eating, you're causing that sugar spike, right? Which, what happens is, during the day, your body's going to be like, well, I had that sugar spike right early. Where's the rest? Like, what's going on? Right? Yeah. I'm hungry. I need some food. I need something. So for me, for example, I won't eat. I'll have a meal. I'll have iftar, for example. I'll eat a little bit. I'll try to leave at least an hour and a half, 2 hours before I go to bed, not eating anything. Because again, what happens is, because you disrupt your sleep, you end up being tired the next day. And then you end up reaching, or you get more hungrier, but then you end up eating for things like carbs. That when you come to break your fast, you want to eat carbs. Because your body's like, again, your body's waiting for that assault almost. It's so hungry. It's like it sees that food and it's like it wants to eat it, right? So the best thing, I don't know, I did is I never used to eat anything. And I would just control myself throughout the day. And guess what? Actually, it was easier for me.
Yeah, I find that as well.
A lot easier. Not only did I lose more weight, I had less fluctuations in mood. My energy stayed stable because my glucose levels were stable. So my body knows by then I'm not going to eat anything. Yeah. Right?
Because you've got that rhythm going.
You've got that rhythm and you've got that mindset going.
No, that's interesting, man. Because I'm the same. Like Seri, I don't really eat. Like I just have a little bit of water, and I find when I do that, I'm pretty much okay throughout the whole day. Whereas if I do eat something, I'm like literally craving. Yeah. Okay, so just I want to give some practical advice because I know we touched on it a little bit. If someone's in a position where they've got those bad habits, they want to look for some foods that are sort of good for them.
Yeah.
Habits that they should be aware of, certain things that they may think that are good that they should kind of be mindful of. Can we just wrap it up with some sort of practical advice?
Practical advice. So,
because I know you said instead of having the sweet stuff, just have a date, and I like that practical example because that's something that we can all do.
For me, when I said to you when I gave up the sugar all those years ago, I didn't want to give up my enjoyment of food, right? So I redirected it elsewhere. So then I opened up the world of dried fruit for me, right? Fruit and dried fruit. So things like dates, apricots, dried mango, all of these other
So all
things.
these dried fruits are all right, is it?
They're okay. They're good to have as part of your diet, right? Some people will tell you there's too much sugar, or fruit has too much sugar, right?
Yeah.
Fruit in itself, apples, oranges, bananas, whatever, you cannot overdose on those.
Okay.
All right? Let me set the record straight on this. You cannot have... it's completely different. The sugar in there, I'll tell you what. So you get an apple, right? The sugar in there is attached to enzymes, to vitamins and minerals, to water, to fiber, to antioxidants. All of these things are in this perfectly formed fruit from the tree that has grown from nature, from sunlight, water, and earth, right? You cannot replace that with anything. And that's one thing that humans have always tried to do, is hack and bio this and do this. They've never been able to create matter like that. So this is matter, essentially, in science terms, from sunlight, water, and earth. That's all it needs, right? So, subhanAllah. So, you cannot compare anything else with fruits and vegetables, okay? So you can have as much as you want. You won't get fillings, you won't get any problems or anything like that. Okay. So I had to discover that whole new world. I wanted to. And to be honest, since then, I've never looked back. So whenever you find yourself, I don't know, you really need something sweet. And I don't know why people maybe struggle with this. So like I said to you, I'll have dates. And I've tried different dates. Also, my thing is dates, right?
Okay.
So I've tried all sorts of different ones. I've tried about 40 varieties. There's like another 1,000 to go, right? Honestly. So all of these things and dried foods excite me because And also fruits. I always carry them with me. Whenever I'm hungry, that will be my snack, right? I'll have water, I'll have an apple, maybe I'll have banana afterwards if I'm really hungry or whatever. Another things like avocados, right? Those, we didn't talk about fats actually, by the way. So those are healthy, good fats which are important as part of your everyday life. Very important.
Like nuts and stuff.
Nuts. My thing is always, again, dried fruit and nuts, fruit and nuts, avocados, good fats. Those are where I get my nutrition from, right?
Okay.
I don't do carbs that often. I don't do carbs much. So all of these things and the proteins I mentioned before, I tend to have tuna and fish and tuna and other things.
So in your normal diet, you stay away from carbs, generally speaking.
I have sweet potatoes, quinoa.
Yeah.
Those are a good source of natural healthy carbs. Okay. The other things, the other processed stuff, it just
stay away.
It doesn't do you any good. You think it satiates you. You think it fills you up, right? So sometimes I post pictures on my Instagram of a meal that I had, and somebody says to me, "How does that even fill you up?" Right? I said, man, it's about understanding. Like, the nutrition from this food is going to satiate me because it has vitamins and minerals. If I have a bowl of pasta, where's the nutrition in that? Tell me. Where's the vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B's, vitamin K, whatever it is, right? Where is it? It doesn't exist in those foods. So what happens is you're just filling a void. You're filling a void. And then what happens is when your body starts to process that void, it's going to ask for more food. So if I have breakfast, I'll have, for example, we spoke about capsules. So I'll have my capsules in the morning. I'll have a cup of tea like you. And only later, if I'm hungry, I'll eat. I'll have eggs or I'll have something, right?
Oh, really? Okay, so only...
If I'm hungry.
Okay.
If I'm not hungry, I won't eat.
Because you know they say breakfast is like the most important meal of the day.
Complete myth. Complete debunk. Complete just nonsense, right?
Because again, I've heard both. I've heard people say it's the most. Your body's been fasting for 8 hours.
No,
you need to get your body.
I tell you where those magic hours happen. When you've been sleeping overnight, fasting, and then you continue that fast. If you can continue it to 12 or 1, oh,
you're on a good start.
You're with the big boys now. Yeah. Because what happens is, like I said to you, that detox process, right? And then your body starts to tap into that fat because there's no sugar. Sugar lives in your body for about 8 hours. Your liver can only store about 8 hours worth of sugar.
Okay.
After that, it starts to deplete. There's not much left. You start to get hungry. So that's the golden hours. If you can stop yourself, resist till 12 or 1, maybe some people go to 2, right? You fasted longer. You kept your blood sugar levels more constant. You haven't hijacked your system. Your weight loss is kicked in. Your detoxification is kicked in. Your mental clarity is kicked in. All you've had is water, tea, right? That's it. This is practical. You want? Try that, right?
I'm trying that. And then come
back to me after a month.
Everyone, guys, I'm trying that.
Try that. And that's why we talked. Actually, we spoke about the capsules. I bought you a gift as well.
Oh,
so I bought you one of my immunity boxes.
Oh, sick. Okay. I'm actually gonna. So this is your company, yeah?
Yeah. So this is our supplements. Open it up if you can. There's a little sticker on the flap just there. On the bottom. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just open it up and I'll show you some of the capsules in there. So what these do is, we talked about biohacking in a way, but these are natural ways of boosting your body, your immune system, and all those processes that we spoke about, right?
Oh, this is exactly what I needed, you know.
This is what you need. And not only that, it sets you on a right path for the day, right? You know how we spoke about avoiding sugar in the morning, especially. Having these will not only satiate you for longer, not only will it stop the cravings from your sugar, not only will it boost the detox, it will give you the energy, it will give you the mental clarity, and it will give you won't feel hungry.
Guys, so this is Mr. Health Life, and by the way, this is not like a sponsored post. He hasn't paid me to say anything. No, it's not.
This is a gift, by the way.
And it's got our range include. So we will discuss it now. I want to get into it, so I just want to quickly show them.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is also stick a link in the description.
Yeah.
Guys.
Happy to answer questions. So basically, the need came for these years ago. When I said to you, and I was looking after my body in that way for sport, for football and for gym and things, I needed to recover quickly, right? Because I'd have gym next day, or I'd have football training or something. I needed to recover quickly ahead of my teammates, okay? To get into the side, and so on, right? You know how it works. And for me, that was serious. That was priority for me. Yeah. So I researched ways into how to boost that recovery, how to increase. So my fitness, for example, nitrous oxide is basically it's an important factor in your body when you're running and you have a sport, because it increases blood flow to your muscles and it reduces fatigue and things like that, right? So it's all ways of hacking and finding things. So these are natural ingredients. These are things like that you have. Some of them you have at home, like ginger and turmeric. You may not have black seed. There's cinnamon. There's all of these. All of these things exist for us to benefit from. These are code, right? Okay. So this is code for when your body to tell it what to do.
Okay, so you know when you say this is organic and stuff. So these are just natural ingredients that you can find everywhere.
Except they're not. I'll tell you why. Because most what you find everywhere. So if you go and grab, turmeric or ginger from the supermarket.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Okay.
It's not the same. What you have there is a genetically modified version in the supermarkets that's grown all year round, made to be resistant to insects and to other things, so that they can get more crop, so that it grows all year round. That's the same with wheat and with other things. This is why there's always an abundance of breads and things on the shelves and all of this, because those crops have been hijacked and have been modified to grow all year round. It's not how it is. Organic, there is no tampering. It grows one time of year, and that's the yield they get, and that goes into storage and that gets into processing or whatever, right? So organic, generally, anything organic is always better for you, because it means there's no tampering, right? There's no chemicals added, there's no preservatives, there's no sprays and all of these things.
So what you guys have done is just packaged it.
So what we've done, I've sourced the best ingredients that I could find from organic, because within organic there's different categories.
Okay.
So which country it comes from, how they care for it, there's all these certain things that only people in the industry would know about, right? So I sourced the best ones, and then what I did is, if you notice, there's 2 ingredients on every supplement, right? So grab one and I'll tell you. Let's pull one out.
So this is black seed, which we all know.
Black seed and black pepper.
And black pepper,
okay. So what happens is the black pepper acts as a booster for the main ingredient. It helps the absorption of it in the body. It doesn't work for every ingredient. It works with certain ingredients. The other one it works with is turmeric. It works with it very well. It increases something called the bioavailability, which is just basically absorption, right? And by you absorbing it, your body can utilize it more, and then you start to feel better. This would not happen with something off the supermarket shelf, because of the reasons I mentioned to you before, but also it's got a catalyst, which is the other ingredient. Okay, and that formula is something I created. So that is basically going back to my chemistry degree. To be honest, this is the only time I use my chemistry degree is while making these.
They look very, because we do like websites and branding and stuff.
Oh, do you?
Nice. Yeah, look, this.
So that was, again, I worked with a designer. This was my vision for it, and we managed to bring it to life.
So these are capsules. So
these are capsules, formulated to be effective, absorbable, and you know how many messages I get, literally, if you go on my Instagram and my stories, they're like, within a day or 2, I'm a different person.
Oh, I'm actually excited for this.
So this is for you.
Because I think I am the perfect person that needs something like this.
Yep.
And, from what you're saying, I'm actually excited.
I have no doubts it will help you, right? I'm 100% confident of that. What I need you to do is monitor yourself.
I think I'm gonna
see how you're feeling. Can you go longer without food? Is your energy levels changed? Do you have dips throughout the day? How's your mood? All of these things, just monitor them while taking these in the morning, right?
Wow.
And have your tea, have this with it.
So these are not meal replacements or anything like that, are they?
No,
yeah. So just to kind of put that out there, because if anyone's interested in buying these, because I know a lot of people will, because this is going to be one of those podcasts where, you know, the only people that are going to be watching are people that are going to be genuinely interested in this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, so for me, for example,
yeah.
I've purchased this. Let's say, go ahead, purchase. I've got this.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can tell, like, when's the best time to take it and stuff like that?
It says on the box. So literally,
okay, it's all in the box,
on the underside, just there, open it up again.
Oh, yeah.
Open it up. So just there, where there's an arrow. Can you see the arrow?
Oh, yeah.
It just says take every day 20 or 30 minutes before breakfast.
On an empty stomach.
On an empty stomach is the perfect time, right? I've spoken to people who said to me, I've been taking vitamins for years. What's the difference, right? I said to them, one question. You've been taking these multivitamins for years. Have you ever felt any difference? And they'll be like, well, I don't know. No.
It's probably more of a placebo, isn't it?
More of a placebo effect. No, not really. I said, okay, try this. If you're going to try it for 2 or 3 days.
Because you're so confident as well. So confident. It's making me excited.
Yeah, because I know how they're produced, how I produce them. And I know I get feedback every day. Honestly, man. The feedback has how you're feeling excited. It was more than I ever expected.
Oh, really?
Even more than I expected, because we've helped people with fertility issues get pregnant. We've helped people with conditions that were debilitating. We've helped people with arthritis, with diabetes, with cancer, with all the rest of it, right? Because again, these are some of them are sunnah items, you know, and there's a reason why, because they help. You just have to know how to take, when to take, what proportion to take for you, for your body then to think, wow, okay, finally something decent, right? And these are what I used, these ingredients, before I made them into supplements. When I started Instagram, people asking me like, how do I do this? How do I get over this? How do I fix this? And I used to tell them advice. I used to give them the best advice. 90% of it would go down the drain. They wouldn't take it, right? And then they started saying to me, look, can you just give us something tangible? Can you just like tell me exactly what to do? I said, okay, fine. Here's capsules, supplements. All you have to do is remember to take one of each in the morning. That's it.
And it's easy as that.
Don't do anything else.
Because you're right, because, you know, a lot of people do struggle. You know, you could get the best advice. And I think sometimes I'm a victim of this as well, where, you know, you can get the best advice and some of it won't go. It's not like it will go in one ear at the other. It's just you won't apply it as much as you know you should be, whether it's out of laziness or whether you choose not to, or whether it's because of your habits or just you're just stuck in your ways. Or, you know, for example, I'm listening to this podcast with you now, and I'm just thinking, you know, of different ways that I can improve my life straight away. You know, one of them being is, you know, try and fast a little bit longer when you wake up. What about just talking on that, it just made me think, you know, like there's I think it was Conor McGregor that spoke about it, fasted cardio in the morning. Is that something that's advisable as well?
It is,
especially if you're in a position where you want to lose weight.
Fasting cardio, that's why I said to you that those golden hours in the morning are the difference between you operating up here and operating just here, right? So your friend has the right idea when he's working out in the morning. Fasted cardio especially is good, because I'll tell you why. Because that directly taps into your reserves.
Okay.
Right? So all of us have some reserves. We all have, on average, 100,000 calories in reserve. Okay? That's most people. Unless you're very underweight or so on, then it can be a bit less.
Probably a bit more.
Okay. There and thereabouts. Okay? And what happens is, that's your survival mode. And if you're eating, or if you have breakfast, your body is going to use the energy from that breakfast to fuel what you're going to do. Instead, if you don't eat, it's going to tap into your body's reserves. And then you're going to start noticing weight shifts. And then you're going to start noticing moods. And you'll end up getting more energy throughout the day than if you had crashed yourself with a meal or with a high sugar meal in the morning. Do you see what I mean? So that fasted cardio is very good. No one says go and kill yourself. I tell you what my fasted cardio in the morning is. I walk my kids to school. It's about half an hour walk, 15 minutes each way, right? I'm walking at a brisk pace. We're trying to get there on time, right? That's what I do now. And I tell you what, and I take my this is my routine in the morning now. So I wake up, have some water, I'll have the capsules, I'll have a cup of tea, and I'll go out, and that's it. And no joke, I probably won't eat till 1 or 2, right? Because I just don't feel hungry, and because I've boosted myself in such a way, I don't need to do anything else.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this.
I'm not overselling it. Imagine you're gonna come back to a few days, bro. It doesn't work.
No, but you know what it is? It's you know, like I said in the, earlier, like we all know what we need to do.
Yeah.
In the sense of, we know we need to eat better. We know we need to eat.
Yeah.
We need to do certain things. We need to go to the gym. But something like this where it's so easy to kind of take,
Honestly, I'm not saying this because they're mine. Honestly, subhanAllah, honestly. These are just something that will really help you, vitamins and mineral wise, real things that we take for granted sometimes, we don't even think about. Right? I'm somebody who took those fake multivitamins for years. Honestly, when I say to you, I didn't feel a difference. I didn't feel anything. I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm waiting for some burst of energy. I'm waiting for something. It didn't do anything for me. And everyone that messages me on my DMs, I swear I get so many. I'm trying to catch up with every day, right? And they're all saying the same thing. Can you help me with this? I've tried taking this. Nothing's helped. My mum has arthritis. One of the best stories, I'll just give you quickly, is somebody said to me, my mum used to be very mobile, right? She's like, now she can't even do sujood. She can't even pray. Right? And I said to her, look, that's really sad, let me help you. She said, what can I take? What can I give her? I said to her, give her this box, immunity box. Just let her take it and then get back to me after a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Just get back to me whenever you feel you're ready. She got back to me after about 3 weeks. She said, my mom now prays for you every day.
MashaAllah.
She gets up off her wheelchair and she can do sujood and she can pray. And she's like, nothing has ever helped her do anything like that, right? And I said to her, you know what? Just the reward from her prayers, from her du'as,
more than enough.
That is more than enough. Because somebody in need who prays for you like that, man, that's going straight on your record.
You've definitely, and you've definitely got her du'as with you.
Yeah.
And but the looks of it looks something. I like the packaging, to be fair.
Yeah, packaging, that took us like 1.5 years to do, That was my biggest challenge.
Is this something that you do full-time then? Is this like your main...
This is full-time. We have online, we sell online. We are working a few things in the pipeline. I don't want to do retail just yet in the future, because there's a few things I want to get right with regards to fulfillment, with regards to website.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah, I can
I want to do things right and properly. So
is this the first business that you're ever running then?
No.
This podcast is also about business as well.
I know, we've completely bypassed all of that. But quickly, business-wise, I worked in finance. Okay. So, by the way, I didn't go back. So after I finished from that the lab job, I completely left all sciences altogether, and I went to work in finance.
Oh, so you did like a complete U-turn sort of thing?
You know why? Because it was very, like I said to you, go in this room environment, you don't talk to, you're not allowed to talk because you make mistakes. It was just
very strict environment.
Very strict. It was like 3 hours at a time. I used to come out thinking, this is not fulfilling for me.
Okay.
It's not familiar. I want to talk to people. I want to face people. I want to be able to interact. I've just come out of university. I'm fresh.
You just want to,
I got energy. So I started working in banking. From there, I went into finance, investments, all the rest of it. I worked in the city.
Okay.
I was traveling to Middle East 2 weeks out of every month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing, I used to basically...
Hectic lifestyle.
It was hectic. And I used to meet all these big top people, and I made a few contacts along the way. And then again, there was a lot of traveling, and it got to a stage where like, okay, well, I can't do this rat race, because in London we have the tube. You're lucky.
Yeah.
And I used to go on that tube, man. It was just depressing. I see people, everyone's head down, reading newspaper on their phone, there and back. And I used to come home so depressed. I think this is not life.
Really?
This is not life. It's a rat race. Literally, we're running with the rats in the underground. And I literally, and I was thinking, this is not how I want to live my life. So me and my missus brainstormed, and we came up with, it was her idea, obviously, mostly, She came up with a cosmetics business, and at the time I was like, listen, I know a few things about work, finance, investments. We can do it together. We can collaborate. I'll give you my ideas. I'll give you do product development. You do all these other things, and I can do some of these things. So we worked out a way. We got an office. I worked from the office. She did her own thing, developing products and stuff like that. We launched it together.
And what was that business?
It's called AOM Cosmetics. Your followers, some of them will know. Yeah. It's called Artist of Makeup Cosmetics. So that was in 2014 or so. She started YouTube 2014 we launched, something like that. And it took off.
And is this business still up and running?
Still up and running, still operating. We again, online, worldwide. We were in Debenhams. We were in another store in Dubai, but COVID hit, and then that took a hit.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but we're still online, and we send worldwide. So that's still operating. So I have a hand in that still. But this is kind of my baby, yeah, because this is what I'm passionate about, I guess, health-wise and things.
You know what I find interesting is, I recently done another podcast who runs a business with his wife. Has your wife got any involvement in this business, or is it just more like...
She is a big user
of
the product, so she won't mind me saying that. She basically said she has it every day, and if she doesn't have it, she says, I'm not the same person.
Okay.
And this is her words, not mine. I swear. People are gonna think I'm making this up. Honestly, man. She swears by it. She had a hand in it because she supported me, and she knows you can't do everything alone. So we always talked about it. We exchange ideas. She's very creative. She helped me with something. She helped me come up with the name, and obviously how I brought it to life was a lot of my vision that I had for it, including the packaging. Our packaging wasn't always like this. It was very just normal before.
So you got Mr. Health Life.
Yeah.
And is Immunity Box one of your products underneath?
So we have an immunity box, which is the main box I started with. Now we have a multivitamin box, which is another box.
Okay.
We have a fertility box. We have a hormone regulation box. But it all stems from the idea of a box of supplements for whatever need that you have.
And you had to do like all this research to kind of figure out what's good for what, and
what's good for what, what works for what, in what proportions. So each capsule for which box is different. Okay.
So a lot of research has gone into this.
It's a lot of work. I said to you, that was the only time I used my chemistry degree when I was making this. Honestly, I didn't use it for anything else. It was a lot of
do you have to get regulated or anything?
It is regulated, yeah. So we're organic certified and regulated by an organic organization.
And
so we're halal as well, and it's just natural plant-based ingredients, and there is no side effects. The only side effects are feeling good.
Feeling great.
So there you go.
No, that's amazing.
And that's been going since actually COVID time, since 2020.
Oh, so you started this in
lockdown.
Yeah.
I sat down in lockdown.
Did you intentionally start this business hoping it would kind of explode?
It coincided. So when I was doing Instagram for years, people were asking me, give us something tangible that we can just do and take. Right? Yeah.
So you're saying you was on Instagram?
I was on Instagram from 2015, 2014.
Just sharing advice and
sharing health stuff.
Okay,
just sharing, look, this is good for your health. Use olive oil instead of this, vegetable oil. All these things I had at home, practical things I was telling them. And because I knew this stuff, and it was just a case of sharing it, right? And then over the years, I started to hone in on my craft a lot more, on the business a lot more, and I have a diploma. I took a nutrition diploma. So I learned about all of these things and foods and how they impact us, and just to hone in a bit more. So this is why not only am I confident, I know it works, and our feedback from our customers and followers, honestly, is the best.
No, guys, if you've been watching this podcast, and you kind of relate to what's already been said, which I do personally myself, I'm definitely going to try it out as well. Most definitely kindly gifted this to me, but guys, if you want to check it out, I'll probably be posting some updates as well myself to kind of see if these actually work. So inshallah,
MrHealthLife.co.uk, it's on there, it's easy.
Yeah, it'll all be I'll pop in the link anyway below if anyone's interested. Right, as we're wrapping up the podcast, I just wanted to ask you a few things, because I know you mentioned Milk.
Yes.
Because I know that, we all drink milk.
Sure.
Not everyone likes milk, but I know a lot of us do. You're saying that's milk isn't that great. Also, I know you spoke about this on your channel as well. Coffee. Is coffee good for you?
Coffee, yeah.
And sugar. I know we've briefly spoke about sugar.
Yeah.
But my main one was milk. Like,
sure.
Milk is something that we've all been drinking since we were kids.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's something that we should avoid?
Okay, let me tell you the breakdown of milk. So I had a lot of resistance when I spoke about this online. And humans and people were used to set ways of doing things, right? It's culture. It's just part of what we do. My mom, my grandparents said this is good for me. It must be good for me, right?
Yeah.
And I can understand that to a certain extent. And that applies to some things, it is true. But when it comes to milk, and people have said this to me, like milk, for example, they relate it to Islam, and in the Prophet times they used to drink milk with dates and so on. I said, okay, fine, I'm with you. Are you living in those times of 2,000 years ago, or 1,400 years ago? You're not, right? I'll explain why. Cows back then were natural cows that can roam, eat grass, eat other things, and by the way, the only time a cow produces milk is when it's pregnant, and it gives birth, and then they use the milk, right? And then humans have hijacked it in a way and drank the milk from the animal to help boost growth and supposed calcium and so on. Nowadays, the dairy industry is brutal. Is brutal. So this is what they do. They pump the animal full of hormones to produce a lot of milk. They pump the animal full of antibiotics so that it doesn't get any disease or anything, because this is money.
Yeah.
You need to look after it. Once it's done its job of milk, it goes to the slaughterhouse and it goes to other things, and then that's it. It's done, right? It's product. Animal is a product. So the other thing is the animal is fed genetically modified things like corn and soy. These are cheap foods that create worldwide, right? They usually come in like pellets. They make them. And sometimes they found, they've done research and they found out there's wood pulp as well. Leftovers of wood and things in those feed. So it's not even real feed, okay? So imagine an animal that is caged, given hormones to grow quickly and big, pumped full of additives and chemicals and antibiotics, given a food that it's fake, and then you're trying to say to me that milk is okay for you to have, or for you is safe to have, right? So that milk unfortunately causes lots of problems in our bodies, and especially on your gut and your gut lining. Honestly, it's an assault, like I've said to you before.
So we shouldn't really be having milk then?
So if you're talking this day and age, personally, I don't have milk. It doesn't enter my house. I stopped using it years ago, right? And
would you have it on the off chance? Like, let's just say we offered you like a cup of tea now.
I would have it because it's what you have available. I have a bit of milk on my tea. That's fine. By the way, milk in your tea is fine. What we're talking is people that have cereals. You mentioned Weetabix before.
Yeah.
If you're having a little bit of milk in your tea, it's not going to do you any damage, really. It's the constant repetition of every day having a glass of milk, a glass of milk, a glass of milk.
Got ya.
It's directly linked and as a trigger for, like I said to you, skin conditions, right? And gut damage and IBS and other things like that. It has links to all of those conditions. And it's just not pure. Now, if you compare that with a cow that's free to roam, that and by the way, just going back on that dairy industry before I forget my point, the animal, so once they have the calf is taken away and given a milk substitute, so basically a fake milk, and the milk from the cow is taken for us, which ends up in supermarkets. But no one tells you that. They don't tell you that. But I've dug deep and I've seen it for myself, to understand how this process works. So this is what they do. And like I said to you, the cow will only produce milk at that time, just like any other mother during that time, right?
Interesting one.
Yeah, so this is the thing. And people don't know, and they're fine because they want to go to the supermarket, they want to have something with their cereal. and this and that, and
because it's like you said, it's what we've known from.
And what we've known. And some people have said to me, look, my grandma says this, and she says it's fine and it's safe. I agree with her. Maybe a couple of thousand years ago, it was okay, right? Yeah. We're not living in those times. Your food is literally contaminated. It's all contaminated. So, and it's processed the hell out of it. By the way, for you to get this milk, it's been processed the hell out of it. It's not just the case of, well, milking it and then bottling it and giving it to you. It goes through a process, homogenized, heated to a high temperature, other things added to make it white and stable, all of these things.
So what should we have instead of?
So if you're gonna have normal milk in your tea, I would say that's fine. Okay. You don't need to stop.
But generally, like for your cereals and all the other things.
For your just on that point, if you're gonna have tea in your milk, use the full fat one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I have the green one.
Don't have the green. Don't have the other ones. The full fat milk.
Is that more of the processed stuff?
It has a bit of the fats which come naturally in the milk, which are available in the milk. With the other ones, it's stripped away. So literally, you're getting white water.
Oh, damn.
In essence, well, it has nothing. It has completely nothing.
So at least the blue one, you're getting something.
The blue one, you're getting a tiny bit of something. A tiny bit of fat or some enzymes and things that are supposed to be in there anyway, which otherwise would be removed for the other milks. Okay. So if you're gonna do it, won't make you gain weight or anything like that if you're having it in your milk, in your tea, for example.
But that's like a perfect example of, when I said like there's so much information out there, you don't know what to kind of. Yeah. We've always been shown like the blue one's gonna make you fat. The green one's like the healthier option. The red one's like water.
You say that, right? And it's simple. I did a video on this literally probably about 2 years ago on this milk. And I said, the blue one is this, the green one is this, the red one is this. Right? This is how they differ. That video went viral. And I thought this video was not going to do well. It went viral. I got like, I don't know how many views in the end. Hundreds of thousands views and this. And then I thought, wow, this is such a simple thing for me. Like I know it, like I just read into it a little bit. And the problem is we go through life not questioning things, right? And if you're going to take anything away from this, question. Just question. Is this good for me? What is this? Like, is this cheese? Is this milk? What is it? You talk about alternatives. I have coconut milk.
Yeah.
Right? I buy... I'm not gonna say the brand. I use Innocent coconut milk because I like the taste of it, and it's a good milk. So that if I ever have something in the morning, I'll have that. Okay. I'll have it with porridge, for example. I don't do cereal. That's a whole nother video.
Is it?
Yeah.
Weetabix okay?
Oh, don't get me started on Weetabix.
Really?
I'm gonna change your life completely here, man. Honestly, you're gonna thank me in a few years. Because when you're good.
Okay, so.
No.
You've just literally...
Just no. Honestly, Weetabix is... when they process the cereals, right? The bran flakes and all these other things, right? There's a lot of leftovers. There's a lot of things, right? Which get pressed and into a cereal and then marketed to be like, wow, added vitamins, added this, whole grain fiber, all of this stuff.
I'll be honest with you, yeah. If you would have said this to me like a couple of years ago, I would have been like, whatever, like conspiracy theorist. But the more you get older, the more things you see, and like I believe it.
I would not tell you anything that's untrue. I'll give you the facts. How you do with it, like I said to you before, is up to you, right? Here's the facts. No point burying your head in the sand. You know it, then you deal with it as you like, right? Those cereals are absolutely should be illegal for kids, man. Should be illegal. I feel sorry. I feel sorry that people have been marketed to in this way, and they accept it for their kids. And it's easy. I get it. It's quick. You put a bit of milk in. You have no idea the damage that this is doing, right? Especially over the long term, every day. Okay, and I'm happy to challenge anybody on this. If they want to challenge me and they want to talk to me, I'll give you the facts on it because I've read all the research on it. I've read the data, and this is what I'm telling you as a result of all of that. This is not even my opinion.
Yeah. This is just facts.
This is just facts, right? My opinion is I would not touch the stuff.
What about the cereals that are sort of advertised to be quite healthy? It's got the vitamins, it's got the minerals, it's got all this, it's got all that, and kind of like Weetabix, high fiber, fuel for days, and whatever. Yeah, all that's nonsense.
It's added things. So remember we spoke about the synthetic vitamins and powders and things? That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Added vitamin C, added vitamin D, all fake stuff, right? So we have a vitamin D version. It's real vitamin D, right? And it's real vitamins. It's just, there is no comparison, right? It's just no comparison. So all of these added things, anything you see that says fortified, right? Run away from it.
So all the big pharma companies are going to hate businesses like you, aren't they? Because it's
Don't
like...
say that on camera. I'm going to get sniped in the morning.
Because obviously you're bringing like the
I'm
natural, true essence of what vitamin should be.
Yeah. I've always believed in natural. And a lot of people, whether it's new to them or not, whether they agree or not, no one can deny that natural is best in anything, right? So when you're having natural foods, whole foods, I like to call them. So things as they are, complete, grown from a tree,
as
from
raw
the
as
ground,
possible,
raw as possible, minimal processing, minimal additives and flavors and preservatives, because these are all chemicals and phosphates which build up in your body, in your system, and cause all of these conditions. And then, have you noticed how people are getting sicker and sicker? We have a health craze and people are going gym and how that, but people are still sick.
Just as much as we're trying to get healthy, people are getting worse and worse.
Because you going to the gym and everything and going for a run and all of that is good. But then if you're not doing the other side of it, okay, you're getting exercise is good, but then you're still damaging your body with all the rest of the things that you're doing. Imagine how much better you would be. And I swear to you, right, if you can just make that mental shift and go beyond that point, you won't look back. You won't look back because then you'll feel so good. Like the brother here, he feels good. 2 years down the line, he's lost all his weight, he's energetic, he's dedicated, he's disciplined morning and night. He won't go back to that. He doesn't want to go back to that. Who would want to go back to a point where they can't move anymore?
Wow, man. You know why we've got you here? Like I wanna maximize this opportunity, yeah?
Sure.
So just like you said, so we are gonna wrap up this podcast shortly, yeah? So you've shocked me with the whole cereal thing.
Yeah.
Milk is something, because I want to give, real tangible advice that people can actually take home and apply them to their life straight away.
Yes.
This is something that can sort of boost that and give you that sort of good start, for example. So I'm glad, and I'm thank you for bringing me this, because it's definitely I'm definitely gonna try it out. But so from what you've said, I'm gonna scrap cereals. Milk, I'll probably change to something like coconut milk.
Try one of the other ones. There's almond.
Almond. I'll probably try almond because
I
like almonds.
Before anyone attacks almond milks and all these other milks saying they're processed, there is a process involved to make it, but it's a minimal process and it's nothing to compare to what the dairy industry
in comparison.
Just to clarify that point. Go ahead.
And I know you've also spoke about coffee in the past.
Yeah, I spoke about coffee before.
So is there anything else we should be mindful of when it comes to stuff that we consume?
So if you're gonna have coffee, fine. Have your coffee. If you want to, the only thing I would say is if you're gonna have coffee in the morning, try not to have it on an empty stomach.
Okay.
Have something. If you're gonna have half a banana or a handful of nuts or something, that's okay. Do that, right? Because there's been research that shows coffee on an empty stomach can cause damage to the lining of the stomach, which impacts other things, like I said, your absorption and so on, and headaches and all of these things that can come. So that's the only thing. I have a coffee. And also the other thing is, don't have coffee past 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and limit it if you can to 1 a day, right? And anything where you overindulge in. I've got a friend, he's going to see this and he might have a go at me. Don't have a go at me. So he told me recently he has 7 coffees a day. And I said, bro, 7? How can you have 7 coffees? He's like, that's what I do. And he goes to Costa and he has coffees at work and he has a coffee when he gets home. I said to him, 7. And he's just come out, literally this time last week, he came out of hospital with kidney stones, right? So I'm not saying it's all related, but what happens is, if you're having that much coffee, you're assaulting your kidneys and you're assaulting your bloods and everything every time you have, right? So much.
That's quite severe, that is, isn't it?
It's quite severe.
Yeah.
And then what that does is it tends to impact the functioning of your liver and your kidneys and things like this, which makes them not work to the optimum that they can, which means things like kidney stones will be more as a result of those assaults, repetitive assaults over the years, right? And he'd been doing it for years. And he only told me recently, and I said to him, how could you, man? You know, we talk about health all the time. How could you do it? He said, well, I didn't think it was, it's just coffee. And it's not like I'm drinking alcohol or other things. I said, no. I said, stick to 1 or 2 a day. You can't have that much and think it's okay. You're impacting your sleep. He's always tired. He can never get his mind up to things, sometimes. So it's impacted him a lot, and it's impacts a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee at all. Like,
okay,
it's one of the, like, I wish I did sometimes.
Yeah.
No, I wish I did, because I've tried it like 3 times in my life.
Okay.
I just don't like the taste.
Yeah,
and the smell. Enough. But I wish I did, because when you see some people, they'll be like, I shouldn't have a coffee, and then they'll have a coffee, and they're like.
But you're a tea drinker, so that's fine.
Tea. Yeah,
that's good. And by the way, coffee doesn't give you energy. People feel alert and things afterwards. All it does, it blocks something you call your adenosine receptors. So these are responsible for tiredness. It blocks the receptors for tiredness.
So your body is still tired, but you're just not feeling tired.
Not feeling it.
What's your thoughts on energy drinks? Because I knock back like every morning without fail. I will have a can of Monster when I'm driving to work.
Why?
Sugar free. Why? It just gives me that. Because obviously it just gives you that.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking of. Sugar-free drinks.
You think? Coffee?
I have literally
in the morning.
I'll have that on the way into work.
Yeah, and then you have the energy drink.
Coffee. I'll have the can of Monster driving into work.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a coffee once basically. I'll put the kettle on, get my laptop out, and I'll have a coffee with my 2-litre bottle of water.
Why do you have the Monster drink?
Then I just obviously.
What purpose is it? Is it serving?
Wake up or something like that.
Okay, so why don't you replace that with coffee? Just have the coffee.
It's just obviously because I'm driving into work. It's there. It's convenient.
Okay, that's why. So those energy drinks are called Monster for a reason. they're monstrous.
Yeah, I'm the sugar free though.
Forget the sugar free. That's worse.
Okay.
That's worse than the sugar.
Oh, that was something. I know we're kind of tight on time here. There's so
much that was going on YouTube.
Oh, sorry,
you're gonna have to extend this one.
Sorry.
Listen, the diet drinks are absolutely terrible, right? So there's things called aspartame and artificial sweetness. They're called artificial sweetness. They're telling you, it's in the name, right? So artificially hacking your system for it to taste sweet, because there was a big thing against sugar years ago, and how people attacked it as, it's a source of this and diabetes and so on, which it is. But the problem is now, artificial sweeteners and all these things are falsely hacking your system for you to feel that same hit of you're getting from the drink and whatever, right? And those have been linked, direct links, by the way, and there's lots of World Health Organization, other things have said this, how it has links to cancer, and it has links to diabetes as well, and other things, right? It's a completely man-made substance that's tasted to be sweet and replace the sugar, but your body does not know what to do with it. It literally, imagine this is what it does to your gut. Imagine if I just grabbed you by the hairs and I just jumbled you around a bit. That's what it does to you. Your body just doesn't know, what is this? It doesn't know what it is, right? It's artificial. It tries to get the same hit. They've designed it to give you that same hit artificially, right? And then your body ends up processing it, but also getting rid of it.
We should really know in it, but then just the artificial part, like the fact that it's artificial.
Anything artificial, bro, just as a rule of thumb, avoid it. And with the brother, if you can avoid having that, I swear to you, you'll feel so much better. You think it's doing you good because it's giving you energy and it's giving you that feel good because it's got caffeine in it and it's giving you that kick. Nothing what a cup of coffee wouldn't do.
Now that's interesting, because one thing that I started to do was have like zero, like Coke Zero instead of like a Coke, zero sugar energy drinks instead of like a Red Bull.
Yeah.
And when I did try coffee, because I wanted to get into coffee, weirdly enough, like I wanted to get coffee, and when I did, I felt like I could run like for ages. I could.
Sure.
And that made me think, maybe I should start drinking coffee. But I tried, it's not for me anyway. But that's interesting, because I think from just this podcast alone, I feel like I just need to change my whole lifestyle.
I mean, look, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
Right. You're doing your body a service. Then even if you don't have to make, if it helps you to do cold turkey, do it. If that's the way you work.
Yeah.
If you need steps on some things, fine, take some steps, make some replacements. We spoke about dates, we spoke about the coconut milk. A replacement for your Weetabix is porridge oats or even granola, something like that. If you can have it, at least that has some nutrition. The porridge oats are natural, not processed. If you can buy organic, even better. I buy a whole kilo like this for like £2.50. It's not even expensive. So it's just making little differences, little hacks, little things that your body can actually feel good about, rather than struggling to keep you functioning.
That's crazy, Mo, I feel like, we could sit here for another 2 hours, trying to extract some information from you, but
I hope it helps. Anyway.
It's definitely been an eye-opener for me, especially, and I know a lot of the audience are gonna find a lot of value in this.
Yeah.
If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
So Instagram is at Mr. Health Life, TikTok is at Mr. Health Life, my website mrhealthlife.co.uk. Pretty simple, pretty there. By all means reach out. If you have any DMs or anything, I'm happy I answer those as well. So
guys, if you've enjoyed this episode with Mo, definitely give us a follow and subscribe. Also give this video a like. If you want to check out this immunity box and all the other products that Mo has available, make sure you go check out his website or the description, and all the links going to be below in the description. Mo, it's been an honor to have you on the podcast.
Honestly, it's a pleasure all mine.
Guys, we'll see you on the next podcast.